Hello, my name is Dr. David Palmer. I'm a practicing clinical psychologist and psychology professor. I've created this YouTube channel for parents and couples to help them to promote happiness, wellness, and resilience in their family lives. In today's edition, I would like to discuss my favorite parenting intervention titled Special Time. I'd like to set a context for special time, describe the method, how to do it, describe traps that can come up when parents are doing special time, review outcomes you can expect, and then discuss a modification for doing special time with teenagers. I wish I had a count on the number of different kinds of parenting interventions I share with parents of children and teenagers, but it's a big number. If I was limited to just one, however, I would do special time for reasons I'll review when we get to the outcome section of this video. But it is just so critically important to do this exercise. It's going to sound simple to do. When I describe it, you're going to think to yourself, oh, well, that's easy peasy. I promise you, of all the things that I ask parents to do, it numbers as one of the most difficult ones to do consistently and do well, for reasons I hope you'll understand shortly. When a parent is doing special time well, 3 verbs and their synonyms describe that parent's behavior, and really only those 3 verbs and their synonyms. First, the parent is giving the child undivided attention. No cell phones, no other children, no other things are capturing the parent's attention besides the child in question. Second, the parent is giving specific, authentic, and proportionate praise for things that the child is saying or doing. And thirdly, the parent is expressing authentic expressions of positive thoughts and affection towards the child. Just those 3 verbs. So there's no teaching, there's no inquiring, there's no directing, there's no suggesting. It's just those 3 verbs and their synonyms. The prescription is to do this an hour a week. The first week you're doing it, it could be a good idea to do it about 20 minutes a day or so, just to lay down a good foundation. But ultimately the goal is to do it an hour a week. You can do this in one shot, or 2 30-minute periods, or even 3 20-minute periods, but an hour a week. And that's what I refer to as a minimal psychological investment for any healthy relationship. In this case, parent to child, an hour a week of this kind of attention. There's a number of traps with special time. The first is to confuse it with quality time. I mean, quality time is a very good thing. If we had more of it, there'd probably be fewer prisons. But quality time, with quality time, something else is capturing my attention besides my child. I'm watching the movie, or I'm watching the ball game, or I'm paying attention to my next move in the chess game, and so on and so forth. In special time, all the attention's going on to the child. Now, I can embed special time within a period of quality time. Like, let's say I was going fishing with my son. That's a quality time experience because the fishing is capturing my attention as well. But for a period of 20 minutes, I can put my pole down and just do special time with him. When the 20 minutes is over, go back to the quality time activity. A second trap is to lose focus, have my thoughts drifting, not really paying attention to what my child is doing. That's sort of inevitable some of the time. The thing is to just catch yourself, not be mad at yourself, just gently redirect yourself back to whatever your child is saying or doing. The third trap is to not do it consistently. We often say to ourselves in family lives, the time I'm going to give to relationships is the time that's left over after I've taken care of life's obligations. But in most families, that leftover time is as mythical as the unicorn. And so we end up treating our relationships like a cactus instead of the orchids that they are. Now, I don't know about you, but if I treated an orchid like a cactus and it wilted, I wouldn't blame the plant. I wouldn't take it back. I mean, I would know that the problem was in my maintenance. Yet that's often what happens in family life, be it in our adult relationships and our relationships with our children. We don't maintain them well, and then we get upset with the other person when inevitably there's some symptoms that emerge. In America, at least, we know how often we should change the oil in our cars, how often we should floss our teeth, the kind of exercise we should be getting. We may not do it, but we know what to do when we're acting with intention. But when it comes to a minimal amount of time we need to invest in our relationships and the nature of that time, we're somewhat at a loss. And just like indicator lights go off in a car, or we develop symptoms in our teeth when we don't maintain these things well, so too it is in our relationships and our family. So special time is a great way to have a good maintenance schedule of attention and relationship enhancement with each child. And it should be done with each child, or that's at least the recommendation. I once had a parent with 5 children say to me, "What? 5 hours a week? Haven't you been listening to our schedules? That's completely impractical." And I said to her, "Jennifer, imagine you bought a house on an acre lot, and the entire acre, the perimeter of it, was adorned with the beautiful rose bushes. And you had never had rose bushes before, so you got a consult from a gardener who said you need to weed, fertilize, and prune the entire perimeter of rose bushes in order for them to thrive." You probably wouldn't say back, "What? Have you been listening to our schedules? Weed, prune, fertilize an acre full of rose bushes? Are you out of your mind? That's completely impractical." So this is the kind of thing that way of thinking we need to have for our relationships, that they do have sort of floor requirements for our time and attention. And most of we parents want to go there anyway. So this is sort of a way of intervening with our children, a way of being with our children that we end up being very glad for over time. Which brings me to outcomes. There's 2 primary outcomes that we're going for here. First is a good relationship with our child. The research suggests that if there's at least one adult with whom a child has a good attachment in childhood, the kind of which special time could promote, that has benefits into midlife, into the 40s and 50s and beyond. It's one of the most robust parenting strategies in terms of promoting resilience. And it's part of the reason why I call it my #1 preferred parenting intervention. The second thing it does is it promotes a sense of worthiness in the child, which is a critical aspect of self-esteem. And you can really separate outcomes for children based on self-esteem. How solid the self-esteem is of a child or adolescent goes a long way to predicting other sorts of important outcomes in their life. So doing this hour a week of special time is a big deal. There is an adjustment needed for teens. Actually, I should probably back up a second and say that for a lot of kids, special time could be done by having them draw something. It can be done by watching them shoot baskets. It can be done by watching them play a video game, as long as they can hear us and register our inputs as they're playing the game. Anything that will allow us to do those 3 verbs I described earlier. Watching TV wouldn't work. Reading to themselves wouldn't work because there's nothing for us to be able to comment on. But any behavior that they do that they enjoy. I should also say that it's not the parent's responsibility to figure out what the special time activity should be. It's the child's. And if you sit with a child and you say, "I'd like to do special time now," and the child says, "I don't know what to do," all you have to do is say something like, "Take your time, we're in no rush." And most children will just start to do something. One of my favorite ways to do it when my children were younger was to take them out for breakfast before school. You can also go in their bedtime, sit on their bed at night, get to a movie 20 minutes before the commercials start, on car drives, perhaps. The lack of eye contact sometimes makes it easier for some children to engage in the special time. With teenagers, it's most likely to be done by way of a discussion. It can be done by some of those other activities for sure, but most of the time it's probably going to be a discussion, but a different sort of discussion than we usually have with them, where I'm agreeing with things I authentically agree with. I'm giving the specific proportion and authentic praise, and I'm expressing any affection or positive thoughts I might be having about my teen. I'm keeping to myself things I don't like or things I disagree with. So it's kind of like good in-law behavior. You say what you like and you're quiet about everything else. In the notes section for this video, I'll put a link for a download of discussion prompts that you can give the teen to choose from during this discussion, special time discussion. There's also a nice little product on Amazon called the Ungame for teenagers that you can use that has discussion prompts also. I'm kind of going through this very quick and it feels like it's a little bit scattered. So if you'd like a more thorough and organized presentation, I would recommend the chapter on special time in my parenting book. That goes into more depth and is pretty organized in its presentation. That's it for today. Please remember, we are made for love.